Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to Popternative. This is the podcast and talk show where we have digital discussions, worlds of TV, film, news, pop culture, everything really, depending on the guests talk about it all. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis. On social media, you know me as PD Beats. We're talking to Malin Barr about Honeydew coming out April 13th on digital. Malin, thank you for doing this. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
I mean, I'm a huge fan of the horror genre. What did you know about the genre of horror movies before this project?
Well, horror has actually, I don't want to sound bad, never been my favorite just because I've been a little scared of it.
Yes.
I don't want, I've been scared to watch horror films by myself. I remember being little and being put in front of the TV sort of by myself, watching The Ring or Poltergeist or The Shining. And I was like, what is this? And they're so good, don't get me wrong. I love horror. It's just scary. So this was the first time for me to be in a horror film, which is a totally different experience than watching it.
Absolutely.
You never guess. I had such a blast. I absolutely love it, and I would love to do it again.
Well, that was one of my, you're stealing one of my questions. Like later on in the interview, I was going to ask if like, because I find it interesting, right? Because, because there's a difference between, like you said, enjoying like as a consumer like horror movies and then working in it, right? So like, did this movie Honeydew make you want to work in the genre more? Like, was that an instant thing or?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I also, as soon as I read the script of Honeydew, written obviously by the fantastic Deborah Milburn, I was just hooked straight away. I remember laughing out loud and being scared and just being captivated and pulled in by the script because there's just so many.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. It feels like it has, a unique take on a horror that I had never read before. It has, a slow build, the suspension. It's not particularly like a lot of action and quick. It's more focused on the characters and the build. And there's so many strange moments. And it also has, I felt when I read it, this comment on the food industry, which I thought was really, brilliant, definitely needs to be talked about potentially, maybe not this way, but, or maybe not this, maybe this is not what's going to happen, but also who knows? I just thought it was an interesting aspect to bring up. And I loved the characters, and I loved Riley and her bickering relationship with Sam. So yeah, I definitely would love to do more. Now, maybe that's thanks to Deb. Who knows?
Here's what I find very interesting, because you are from Sweden.
Right. Yeah.
And what I'm from Canada, so I'm a big hockey fan and everything as well. And there are a lot of very, whether it's sports, music, arts, very talented people in Sweden. One thing people don't understand, which I think is crazy, you are a small country population-wise.
Totally, yeah.
People don't realize that, I don't think.
No. I was actually talking to someone else about that. I mean, there's a lot of music coming out of here. There's some great filmmakers, crime shows. What else do we have? A lot of tech. I mean, Spotify, Skype.
Well, I'm into a lot of like the Gothenburg heavy metal. So like I grew up with like In Flames and Dark Tranquillity, and those are some great heavy bands from Sweden.
They are. It's not my cup of tea, but I know that I have talked to a lot of people in New York where I used to live that just have made me more aware of all of these wonderful bands from Sweden. So that's super cool. I love it.
I asked the hockey player once about. I said one of my favorite bands is from Sweden, and he didn't really know about the Gothenburg heavy metal bands, and he was like, "Oh, is it ABBA?" I was like, "Come on, it's not ABBA."
No, yeah, we have other ones. I mean, ABBA's great, but there's so much more.
It's amazing. It's interesting because I said it. There's a lot going on in Honeydew. Content I feel like is right down the middle now with like the content that you could just kind of put up in the background, the sitcom, the fun thing that you're just watching in the background. And then movies like Honeydew where there is a lot going on. And unfortunately, if you're looking for a movie, in my opinion, that you just want to like sit back and relax. I mean, it's a horror movie, it's got the elements, but no, Honeydew's not that movie. You gotta be stimulated. Do you agree that this is a film where you gotta pay attention in this film?
Yeah, I definitely think so. And I think that, it unravels while you're sitting there watching and you don't really know what's going to happen or where it's going. So I think that's part of it. I mean, I hear what you're saying, and there's so many, quicker, shorter shows now because, we can't keep our attention span going for more than 5 minutes. But I personally really enjoy a long movie if it's a good movie, and I think Honeydew definitely is. And I think that it is slow, like I mentioned, it has a slow pace, but maybe being European, I'm more used to that or more interested in that. But there's got to be an interesting characters and interesting relationships or things that you keep wondering what's going to happen, which I think Devereaux has really, really built up here in Honeydew. So
absolutely. What was it like working with Sawyer on this film?
Working with Sawyer was lovely. I mean, he's such a great guy. He's a great actor. We had so much fun. Straight away when we started working together, our chemistry on set as Sam and Riley was very obvious. It was very quick. And worked out really well. It's like I said, bickering and the specific relationship that they have, and the contrast in the characters. I think, because we did a lot of work on it ourselves, and then when we met, it just came pretty natural, which is really fortunate and fun. So when we played out the scenes, we could kind of just like sit there and let what happened happen and work with Karen or Barbara Kingsley, who's also such a brilliant actress. There was so much to work with. But yeah, we spent a lot of time together. While we were shooting, Sawyer and I had almost every scene together. We also some of the cast stayed together in a house, and we had mornings to read through sides. We actually went running together a lot.
A lot of dialogue scenes of you and Sawyer as well.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like most of the film, and it's fun. It's interesting because people that watch the trailer for Honeydew, it shows a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of uncomfortable aspects of it. But the powerful conversation between your character and Sawyer's character is what I enjoyed about it too. You two are really kind of like, it's not just a conversation about things. You guys are really diving in there about a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, that's true. I'm glad you like that. Yeah. I think that also is kind of what makes it special in a way, because you don't just have the horror aspects. There's actually like something else going on. And also I think that their complicated relationship kind of unfortunately puts them in this situation in a way, maybe if they were working together, they wouldn't end up there or stay there, or
hindsight 2020, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
For you specifically though, because I mentioned, you're from Sweden and everything. What was your kind of career path in terms of getting to where you are now, kind of working on different movies? Like, did you stay in Sweden for a little bit? Did you move? What was that like for you?
I actually was a dancer first. So I trained as a dancer in Sweden and then in London. And I mean, I did theater when I was little. I went to singing school since I was like 5. So for me, what I wanted was more to be, sort of in dance and singer and in musicals. That was my first dream, I think. So I moved to New York after being in London and kind of got, my interest spiked for theater and for film. And I started doing a few plays, and then I did some short films, and then kind of got more and more interested in doing that. And I had an injury as a dancer pretty early. So there's also that always plays into it, where you're like, ooh, am I going to be able to do this forever? Part of me was sad to not be able, to give up dance. But in a way, I realize now that dancing has helped me become the actor that I am.
Dancing is storytelling. That's what it is, right?
Yeah, it's storytelling through your body. And honestly, if you're an actor, it's so helpful to to feel and be physical and know your body more than just being present in your face.
Yeah.
So in a way, in hindsight, maybe that was the best thing ever. But yeah, I've lived and worked in New York for the last 7 years, and kind of maybe half of it, or the first few years, was more dancing and theater, musical, and then more film. So it's been a journey. I didn't know that this was going to be the path I took. I knew I was going to be working as a performer, but I'm very happy, and I'm very happy to be working after this year that has brought in so many new values and ideas of what the world is. So
for sure. Quick last question before we wrap up about Honeydew. I mean, the obvious answer to this question, Malin, is you hope they enjoyed it. You hope they got scared, a little uncomfortable, stimulated a little bit, but diving into it a little bit more. What are you hoping the audience gets out of watching Honeydew?
I kind of want them to just walk away and just have a lot of questions, whatever the questions are in their head, whether it's about like, ooh, this made me feel something very odd. Like, why am I feeling that? Maybe it has to do with the fact that it's about food. Maybe that's an unsettling thought. Maybe they can take away something from the relationship of Sam and Riley, because they're both kind of self-absorbed and they don't really meet. Maybe it's communication in your own relationship. I don't know. Whatever it is, I just hope that they, I think everyone is going to walk away from this movie with something different. So as long as there's a takeaway, I'm happy.
Absolutely. Malin, thank you so much for coming on Popternative. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I had such a great time.
Absolutely. They're going to be able to check out Honeydew April 13th on digital on demand as well. Where can people follow you on social media to keep up to date with everything?
Instagram at Malin Barr, probably the easiest.
Very similar.
That's where I'm at.
Great. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Be sure to catch Malin Barr and Honeydew. That's going to be available April 13th on digital on demand. Until next time, this is Malin Barr and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.